Hi, Denise here from Project Frugal. Today we are going to make a DIY recycled clashing fabric bag. For this project you will need old fabric such as curtains, sheets, any scrap fabric that you may have, or even any old clothing that is suitable. The first thing you need to do is cut your pattern pieces from some old paper, and then once you have done that, cut your pieces from your fabric that you have chosen to make this bag from. The straps of the bag measure 92 centimetres long, or approximately 1 yard, and it does have a little bit of a fringe to this fabric, so we're going to leave that on the outer. But all we're going to do is fold the fabric in and then back across and press it down. The positioning of the strap needs to be around about 5.5 inches from the edge of the fabric to the edge of the strap. The side of the bag has been sewn together, and as you can see here, the strap has been inserted in between the contrast fabric and the main part of the bag, like so. So to achieve this, what we do is we just lay the outer piece of the fabric flat, and we take the strap and we make sure that it's straight, and we just position the strap to the top of the bag like so, and we'll just pin this in place. Okay, so we've got the contrast fabric, the strap and the outer all pinned together, and we're just going to sew across the top here. Before sewing any of the front of the bag, it's best just to measure to see that everything is lined up, like the two pieces are the same size. If not, just give them a trim up. So what we do now is just give this bag a little bit of a press across the seam here, and it does pay just to pop a pin into the straps to keep them in position, and we're going to top stitch across here. That completes both sides of our bag, so both have got the contrast stitching holding the strapping in place. What I've done is I've pinned each corner, and I am just going to sew right the way around the edge. So we're going to sew right round the outer edge of the bag, like so, leaving the top open. So that's this part of the bag done. I've pressed the seams and I've pushed the corners out with a pair of scissors. So in the next part of the tutorial, number 5, what we'll do is we'll do the corners of the bag and put the lining in. So you can see the straps here have been pinned in position, so they don't move really. And the contrast stitching across here has been done. So all we're going to do to put the corners in is turn the bag the wrong way out. We grab one hand on each side of the bag, and we just pull the fabric so it forms a corner piece, making sure that the seam is actually folded the same way, like so. And what we're wanting to do is line up these seams so that they're together, and you can, just by feeling with your fingers through the fabric, you can actually feel whether they're lined up or not. If you want to double check, you can push a pin through the seam and check where it comes out underneath here. So I can just feel that that's slightly off, so I'm just going to pull the fabric a little bit more, and that's perfect. We're just going to grab our ruler and our chalk, and we're going to find the corner of the where the stitching ends in the corner. Just want this a little flatter. And we're going to measure 2 inches on either side. Should use the 2. There and there. And then we're going to draw a straight line across, like so, and that forms our sewing line. And then once we've sewn this, we're going to trim this off. Then we're just going to stitch across our line, just back tacking at the beginning and the end. Okay, so both of the corners have been done, and we're just going to trim about 1 centimetre or half an inch away from the actual stitching itself. And that should be the corners done. Let's have a look. So that gives us the box bottom to the bag. So that is what you end up with across the bottom. Let's push it out properly. I'll do this properly with scissors. You can just grab your scissors and very gently push the corners like so, so that they pop out properly. Give them a press. Now for the lining, we'll move on to the lining next. So the lining is simple. Basically you've got your lining pieces, and you want this is the width here, which is the wider size. What we're going to do is just reverse the fabric, so we're putting the right sides together, and all we're going to do with this is sew right the way around the edge, leaving the top open, and then you'll do the corners on your lining the same as your main bag. So let's do this part. So down one side, then across the middle, but we're going to leave a 10 centimetre gap. So we'll just back tack here, lift your foot up and move the fabric along around about 10 centimetres. And that's just so that we can fold the bag the right way out once we've sewn it, the tops of the lining. Before we sew, what I have done here is I've just pinned in 4 spots, lining the seams up on both sides, like so. So what we're going to do now is sew all the way around, just using a 1/4 inch So here we have the bag sewn together, the inner and the outer. And the gap that we had at the bottom in our lining, we're just pulling all of the bag through that gap at the moment, and we do that quite slowly so that we don't tear anything or tear the bottom part. So we've revealed the lining and the bag part. So now we're just going to tuck, oh sorry, before we do that, we need to sew this little gap at the bottom closed, and to do that we'll just give that a little bit of a press and sew across the bottom quite closely to the edge. So here we have the completed bag. You can see the straps come between the main part of the bag and the contrast here. And if you want to do a little bit of outer decoration on the bag, you can do so with buttons. You can put some other buttons here. You could put some buttons down the center, like so. You tie some string around the buttons, do whatever you want. You could form a closure of some sort. This, of course, putting some buttons here will hold the straps in place. If you want them loose, like so, you could put your buttons on the seam